and respect. Welcome. This is Coach. I am Coach Les. I am a Ziegler Legacy Certified Coach, and we are here today to look at what is it about gratitude, and what is it that people think about how to be respectful and responsible with gratitude. What does that look like? And today I want to have some discussions about this and share. And I don't, as we get into this, there could be people that join me online. I'm currently doing this live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on several Facebook platforms, and also on Clubhouse. And for me, my goal is to have, if people come in and into the room on Clubhouse, to bring them up on stage and have conversations about this. Otherwise, we will be talking for about 30 to 45 minutes about some of the different aspects that I see are available right now and that we are dealing with in the world of gratitude and what that looks like. Because yesterday we talked about respect. And as we were talking about it, it was great to hear about chivalry. We talked about opening doors. We talked about kids, 13-year-old kids. There was a lady here named Ginger who has a 13-year-old who is continually gets, this is the politest kid I know, and gets recommendations like that, or acknowledgments like that, excuse me, all the time. And as that shows up, why is that such an isolated instance? And I want to take a look at and go back to my own childhood and take a look at some of the things that I was taught, not only by my parents and my siblings, also in school. Now you might be thinking, wow, how was this taught in school? It was taught in every single class by how you interacted with the teachers and the respect you gave to teachers when they came into the room. The respect you gave to vice principals, headmasters, whatever you'd like to call them. The respect that you gave in the cafeteria and all of those different areas of the school, the janitors, as you bumped into them in the bathrooms. And I watch parents, let's say right now, the age of a 12-year-old, 13-year-old is somewhere in their late 30s, early 40s. And I watch how those late 30s and early 40s treat people as they bump into them around the city, around the restaurant, around going into a bathroom or a hotel. And my experience to this point has been that respect is fleeting at best. In fact, it is so miserable that I have often taken a moment to actually jump into a conversation and say, hey, did you have to be rude to that janitor or to that server? And they'll look at me, and I said, you can look at me with madness, like, what am I doing, stepping into your private world? What I'm looking at is somebody that has no respect and is creating a place for my kids and other people's kids to learn how to be basically a pig and have no respect for other human beings and the condition of wherever they're at in the moment doing what they're doing. And as we look at that, I'm going to go back to some lessons that I learned in different points in age. I remember at 7 years old, and it might have happened earlier than that. That age rings a bell. When I was rough with our puppy, not actually a puppy, but a dog that we had that was probably 3 or 4 years old. And one of the things that I saw and how they treated that, or how I was treating it, they saw me being mean to it. They saw me kicking it around. They saw me, for lack of a better word, being disrespectful to that animal. And as that happened, my stepmom pulled me aside and sat me down and went through a conversation with me to teach me respect of an animal. Not only to be nice to the animal, also to be respectful of the fact that they could bite and that they could turn and do damage if I was mean to them by being disrespectful. And at that point, something clicked. I have no idea what. And ever since that day, there's this camaraderie that I have with dogs, even the meanest ones. And I don't know if it was at the moment I was like, wow, I lived such a strict life that I could get some compassion with these dogs, and the dogs could sense that I had that compassion. And so I developed at a very early age that desire to support people, make a difference, support their excuse me, their driving, their learning, their spiritual growth, their family growth, their educational growth. And that became what I wanted to do with my life. And so here I am. And in doing that, I started to watch and look around me at what did respect look like. And, as I was preparing for today's talk, what I noticed was all of these Instagram conversations, Facebook conversations that kept popping up, and especially on LinkedIn, that this guy with a camera, a body cam, came up to a guy in the street and said that was working on, pulling apart an axe. And I don't remember, he said something like, yeah, I'm just trying to pull, get this metal out of this tool so I can turn it in for scrap. And the photographer guy says, well, I'm wondering, I left home without my wallet. I'm wondering if you have $2 for the bus. It'll get me home. So here's this man who clearly is homeless. He stops what he's doing, reaches into his hand and pulls out and he's got $2 and hands it to the guy who's doing the photographer. And when he does this, the photographer then lets the secret go and say, I've been waiting for the first person to say yes to giving me $2. I would give them $500. And the guy could not believe it. He was so beside himself. You could see that a tear choked him up. And out of that, the gratitude that he had was so profound. And the respect that he then garnered for the little boy shows up a little bit in the video, but you can see how it made a huge pivotal moment for somebody to see that there's that the money that he gave was priceless. Like $2 for that homeless man was a lot of money. And yet he gave it to support a college kid getting on a bus, namely because he said he didn't have any money and didn't have ticket. And that's a respect for another human being. And I think we lack that in society today. We lack that as an opportunity for us to grow. So I notice a friend of mine, Kavendra, popped in, and then Scarrett is down in the audience here on Clubhouse. And I also see that I got a message in the back channel. Somebody said hello on social media. But Kavendra, I would love to hear your thoughts on this respect topic. And I had mentioned before you came in, we're going to have two topics today. One is going to be respect, and the other one is going to be gratitude. So I'd love to hear your comments on respect.
Hi, Les. I like the way you say Les. Les is more coaching. It's quite nice. Look, when it comes to respect, I believe that the world treats you the way you treat them, and I think that for me, respect starts with self-respect. I think sometimes we don't realize the boundaries that we need to create for ourselves, and the acceptance. So I believe that with respect comes self-care, and I'm a big believer in caring for one so that you can help another. All right. I always play around with those two concepts because I believe that it's about setting boundaries, but it's also about respecting yourself. So when you respect yourself, you would immediately walk into a room and you would respect that person, because in order to earn respect, you got to give respect. But if you haven't understood it yourself, you technically can't go out preaching about respect. That's one. And I know, Coach, from my engagements with you, you've always been a very respectful person. Even if somebody commented in your room, you always let them, you'll say, wonderful, thank you for your input, opposed to somebody saying, oh my God, you're off topic, get with the program. You never gave someone that sort of like dissing, and it's always nice, the bigger the group, you find that, it's good to manage in that way. In terms of what you were talking about in gratitude, I think gratitude is something so profound, in the sense that if you chase after things in life, you lose the essence of the moment, and that gratitude to be available for your emotions of the relationships you forge, whether it's via a phone, whether it's via whatever means of communication, whether it's your loved one, turning to them and acknowledging them, and that gratitude, just the moment. I feel that's so, like, for me, it's like the victory of the day is having gratitude in general, just being humble, just being kind. I mean, before you judge someone, it's about pausing and respecting them enough for them to come to the party and not necessarily sidetrack them. Everybody's got an excuse. I get when your excuse is just becoming more blasé, where you just keep saying excuses. But there's times that I actually learned more, and I've recently, well, not recently, it's about maybe a year, I read a book that says thank you for being late, and I often used to get very aggro whenever somebody got late or didn't meet an appointment with me, because I do consulting. And what I learned through that is that when I started respecting myself, I showed empathy in a way that was more accepting, and I built relationships and no longer transactional engagements with, whether it is the barista at the local coffee shop, or whether it's the helper that is helping me at home, with things that I don't get time to get to, And I found that, people take advantage of when you don't create boundaries. I think it's important to set the rules straight, but also to be kind. Let someone grow on you as you would want them to grow on you, like how you want to be grown on them. And I think it comes with mutual respect, and it starts with trust. I think you need to trust in your moment and trust in the person that's with you. And it's very difficult when it's a bunch of strangers because you're like, oh my God, do I trust this person? But when you gracefully just acknowledge someone, and that is all what people need. I had a friend not too long ago, like a few minutes ago, was complaining to me, and he stopped and he says, "I'm so sorry. I just completely." I said, "No, I hear you. I acknowledge you." I think acknowledgement and having that sort of center in mind, you no longer uh, become arrogant, you become humble. And when you have God in you and you fear the sense of God, you also realize, like, I'm Hindu and I practice spirituality opposed to just the Hindu culture. And in that belief system, it teaches you to acknowledge another because every one of us are created in the face of God. And when you take that to a level of respect, you need to realize that a person might need you on that day and they might be on a complete tangent and you were meant to be in that person's path. And to change, it's just like positive vibrations and how you echo that. And I think that gratitude for me starts off with that sort of selflessness. And it's something that we all have, but we sometimes don't focus on it often enough. And I think when you start showing gratitude and you start embracing gratitude, the respect follows very easily. The trust and the forming of relationships and bonds becomes a lot more solidified. And I think that's the fluidity of life. It's the essence of just living and being happy in your moment. And that's when I say happy, it's not a sense of like, oh, I need to be happy in every situation.
Right.
And I got to see the light side of life. And I think that's what's helping the motion coach.
No, it's wonderful, Kavendra. I think that one of the things that I'm hearing from you, and it's funny, as you were doing this, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna look up the definition of respect, and I'm gonna look up the definition of gratitude, and I think you'll enjoy hearing this. So as a noun, the definition for respect is a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievements. The second definition is due regard for the feelings, wishes, rights, or traditions of others. And then the verb, so if I respect you, it's to admire someone or something deeply as a result of their abilities, qualities, or achievements. And I love that. I mean, and you build this what I call respect muscle by being around people that are demonstrating it. And your parents, or say your grandparents, or an employer, are demonstrating it and leading it and educating through that system. And when it came to gratitude, it said the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. And why I chose to do this is not only we had a great conversation yesterday about respect. I wanted to say I sent out Christmas presents, and then it got late enough to where they became Christmas and Valentine's Day cards. And it became kind of a joke and a laughter, and yeah, I've got something coming for you, don't worry, and thank you and for supporting us and doing this and doing this and doing this. And what shocked me, Kavendra, was the lack of respect to, because they were all special mailed. They were all in priority mail packages because I couldn't just send them in a plain box. And I wanted to know that they got to their location. In some of the boxes, there was quite a bit of stuff in them. And I got when they'd all been delivered, I was eager to hear who, and I knew they'd been delivered. I was eager to find out who was going to acknowledge me for the items that I sent. And I think it was one of those things for me where, yes, I had an expectation. I had an expectation that when they got the package, no matter what the package was, and the minimum package had a $30 book in it, the smallest package, plus a couple of little knickknacks and a thank you card. And the number of people that did not and have not let me know they received it even. And one person, I reached out and said, hey, did you receive this? Because I know they're moving. And I got a text back saying, yes, thank you. And I'm like, wait a minute. So did they hate what I sent them? And then I realized there's such a lack of respect and there is such a lack of gratitude that exists. And I come to find out that that same person is upset due to the fact that I haven't contributed more to a cause that they're dealing with. And I'm like, okay, so my contribution over here means nothing because I didn't contribute the way you wanted to see it come at you. And you're going, and because it's not that way, you're actually going to get upset and make a complaint about who I am and be disrespectful because of some story you're making up about what you think I should have given based on the fact that I said I was going to be contributing something and it didn't look the way you thought it was going to look. Because this person was looking for money, Convendra, not some of the stuff that I gave, not some free coaching over the past year, several hours of it, and several massive breakthroughs, all for no charge. And then I got some work done that, was great work. I loved it. I'm glad, but way, 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 way less if you're looking at being respectful and gracious for the balance of equality in the relationship. And I'm horrified. I was so disappointed that I almost broke my integrity by saying, you know what, I'm done and walking away. Because why do I want to be beat up by somebody that is not grateful, and then is not only not grateful, but disrespectful in a way that can be seen by others? Does that communicate, Kavendra?
Yes, coach, it certainly does. I also think that, when you mention you have this expectation, I think when you wear your heart on your sleeve, you would expect that vibration of positivity that you emanate, bounce back, for the good that you're putting out there. And I think sometimes that expectation is only human to react to.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because I think we always see good in people, and sometimes people don't see good at all, and especially when you deal with the pessimists. Like earlier, about 6 months ago, I had a client of mine that is a complete pessimist, and no matter how well I always spoke to him or how much I showed him care, he always remained very, very pessimist. The world is against him. If he like fell from some place, he would blame his whole history, and he'll just complain and swear. And he committed suicide, coach.
Wow.
And it was like, I asked myself, what did I, could I have contributed to some outlook that could have changed this person? And it deepened my sorrow, and it made me feel very like, what is my purpose? And then I stood back and I said that there is there's no words to account for someone that's taken, that you show love to, and you embrace, and you show compassion and respect and gratitude. I always flipped everything he said, and I said, look, yeah, you've got life, so you would live to see another day, and your journey is not yet over. You've climbed a mountain. Why are you looking back and living in the past? And look, he takes away his complete life, and his family is distorted. And it's just things like that I tend to reach, like, I wouldn't say T-junctions. I just kind of get kind of stuck in my own tracks, just because I'm like asking myself, this is why we can't account for every person and what they're thinking. All we can do is remain humble in who we are as beings, as persons. And I think that's the fluidity that I keep referring to, that I'd like to gracefully live a purposeful life, a meaningful life in helping and developing. And I think for me, it's because I feel like my legacy is in teaching people skills, or allowing them to prosper in their own state of mind. And that's just how I, feel like I can make an impact in the society that I live in. And how do I contribute positively? So that's always like things that play on me, and it asks, like, am I showing gratitude? Am I showing respect? Is love not enough? I even asked if I'm not loving enough. And I always there's certain mysteries I just leave it to God. So when things are out of my control, I turn to God and I say, look, I've believed in you, and I'm going to believe that you're going to trust, and you would do this, and you would look after this person or something that's out of my control. And I try to close my perhaps challenges or arguments on a point that sometimes not taking the higher ground might be the better thing for the relationship. It's showing respect to that other person, because speaking your mind is one thing, but a win-win is what I want as an outcome. Whereas before, the Kavendra that was maybe a few years ago, I would be like, no, I'm right. You are wrong. And I'll be quite adamant, and I'll be quite aggro. And today I'm more of a kinder person. I think that understanding and embracing God at the moment of distress, you start living. You start living another journey, and that's all I can say is that I've been through this, and the journey has just been, wow, it's magnificent. It's not monetary, it's not attached to anything, but it's a state of my mindset and my heart and how I feel about this moment.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you would say this, right? And because I look, and one of the things that I meet with my clients and share with my clients is this document that I have that talks about upset, and what is the distinction upset, and it really comes down to three pieces. Upset is a thwarted intention, an unfulfilled expectation, and an undelivered communication. And when I look at those three things, I can easily see that all three of those things are actively at play in my ability to what I would say be an authentic person that isn't triggered. Like, I have to be responsible for the fact that I have been triggered. I do have an unfulfilled expectation. For me, the unfulfilled expectation was the respect and gratitude for the gift to let me know that it arrived, so that I don't have to worry that that gift didn't show up. Does that make sense?
Yes, it completely makes sense. You're speaking. I can hear you speaking from the heart and experience.
Yeah. So when I look at, what is, and clearly I had an unfulfilled expectation when I look at this, and we have an expectation that something we want is going to happen the way we expect it to, having our expectation be fulfilled, and instead it goes another way, leaving us in that moment unfulfilled and reactive.
Absolutely.
And now my game has been, okay, so how can I now do something really, really powerful and turn the game on its side? And what I mean by turning the game on its side is that I'm going to do my darndest on all of the social media ways that I can in demonstrating how to have integrity in our communication, in our respect, and in our integrity and gratitude. What does it look like? And the thing that I've started to see is that saying thank you to somebody that does a service for us, whatever that service is, if they did that service with an inside of an intention to manipulate, then of course we don't want that. But if they did it inside of creating something that is a magical space, and what I saw is, what I'm going to do, Kavendra, when I write those thank you cards and I'm going to do a PS, a postscript at the end, and I'm going to say, please do me a favor and let me know that this arrived. And I'm going to leave it that way and put a smiley face and leave it at that. And if they don't, they will be written off that list, right? Because clearly they're not interested in playing the game of community that is being not only enlivened and lit up and full of possibility, they're choosing to be disrespectful and not answer the opportunity in the card to respond. And I would put my text message or phone number there and make it as easy as possible. What do you think of that?
I think it's definitely would work. I think the personal touch with the winky is kind of cool because you're spurring someone. You don't need to tell them, oh, if you respond to me, I'll give you $500 something. But the common courtesy, it's some things that I don't know. I struggle with this, but I agree with like putting that inserting that in your card. And I'm not sure about the blacklisting that you were thinking of, but I think it's a good idea because there's something that I recently started working on, and it's a conversation around relationships. And I know that you're a big fan of building relationships, but we need to also know the toxicity of certain relationships. And if we're planting, and I'm using an abstract thinking here, if you are planting a garden, all right, and you are giving all of the nourishment and the joy and whatever that goes in to maintaining that garden, we need to remove the relationships that are toxic, that are weeds, that are not flourishing in our bloom. we need to remove them. And that's what you are basically doing. So it's not a sense of disrespect. It's a sense of saying, if you are not working on a relationship, then I choose not to have a relationship any longer with you. I think that's a hard one because, coach, I work in financial services, and we want to hold on to clients, but we need to also be mindful that we can't be working on a client that actually doesn't want to. Technically, it's struggle to work with them. And is that relationship a relationship based on business, or it's actually me having many relationships with many people, and knowing when to actually draw the line. And this comes back to the conversation earlier of showing yourself respect. And I'm using the word self and respect separately, for the same reason of what she's doing now is in creating that list and removing someone. You are actually practicing self-respect.
Yeah.
And I respect you for that.
No, and thank you. It's one of those things because I went, I don't want. Sorry about that. I was here sitting speaking to the microphone. I want to be.
Was that your mute moment?
Yes, I want to be responsible for this because I know and the funny thing, Kavendra, you're just going to die of laughter when you hear this. My stepmother, right, was when I went to live with her when I was 8, and I lived with them when they lived in France, and so there was a lot of mail, and even if I got a Christmas card, my stepmother instilled in me that I had to send a thank you card. Even if there was no money in it, no gift in it, didn't matter. It was out of respect for receiving the gift of a card on the holiday. And it was so powerful to do that. It taught me such a powerful lesson. And I'll never forget, I sent a thank you card to one of my uncles, and I got another letter back with some money in it. And he said, "I am so sorry. I forgot to put this check in your Christmas card." and my stepmom looked at me and said, "Do you realize that if you hadn't been polite, that would never, this is," and she was not a very commercialized religious person. Her view of being next to God was standing on the top of a mountain skiing, looking out at God's creation and saying, "God, thank you for this world. Thank you for my life." That was her way of being. Organized religion was not her thing. Church was not her thing because of so many bad things that had happened throughout her life with neighbors and such like that. And when this happened and she said, "Les, I want you to know this is what happens when you take the high road and you are responsible." That was one of my first lessons, Kavendra, of that high road and taking that high road and seeing the benefits. And I said, but I went, but, I said, Frida was her name, and Maman, I called her French mom because that's where she became my mom. And I'd say, "Maman, how though do you differentiate this from creating an expectation in yourself that you're going to get Christmas presents or you're going to get these things?" And she said, "The only time you have an expectation of somebody giving you something is when you're driven by your ego. See, friends and family give you stuff all year long. They give you their love. They give you their communication. They give you an opportunity to visit them when you go to visit them back in, the country." And I said, "This is an opportunity for you for you to start to see how you can create a new level of grace and a new level of gratitude, and be so powerfully connected to gratitude all the time that people see it, sense it, hear it, and love it. You know, if you look at my board behind me, and I'm going to peel it off my board and show people on the camera. I have this thing, and you'll be able to see it on my social media. And for here on Clubhouse, it's a piece of paper that has gratitude written on it with pictures, like each of the letters, the T and all the letters are like windows to photographs on the other side. And underneath it, it says, take it, teach it, live it. And it's about social gratitude. And I got it when somebody was doing a 30-day gratitude challenge, take it, teach it, live it. And I loved it so much, Kavendra, I laminated 2 of them. One of them is Velcroed to my car, to the dash of my car. Because gratitude for me is so powerful. When somebody holds a door open for you, when somebody smiles at you and you're walking down the street, and I smile back and I'll say thank you, and they'll look at me and I said, thanks for the smile. And they smile and walk away, and you can see their little happy step. And for me, in this day and age, right? For me, in this day and age, for me, a smile is a gift. Anyway, so I'm going to pass the mic to you, Kavendra, and Nasli, Natasha, Lakshell, and Scarrett. I'm going to invite you up if you'd like to come and join this conversation. We've got another 15 minutes. I'd love to hear your thoughts on respect and gratitude. Back to you, Kavendra.
I like that point about ego. I think it's so important to understand that sometimes your ego overrides your practicality of life. And I like the fact that you smile. There's a lot that I'm evolving. So when it comes to like tradition, like your granny sending off the cards, I think, you be the change that you seek. And that's a Mahatma Gandhi quote, be this change in society that you seek. And I think that it's important that we actually put our best selves forward and start being the ripple effect in all the other lives that we come across. And I think, one of the things that you mentioned, besides the mantra that you've just mentioned, is the fact that you need to give somebody your time. I think time is something that we often take for granted. But giving someone your time and allowing, listening to them, I think that's part of the respect that I believe that we should carry. And when it comes to gestures or people that serve you or people you serve, everybody's on their own kind of lane and they're doing their own thing. But just acknowledging someone, it could change the entire day or the outlook of that day. Just being present is so critical. And the respect you show others is the respect that you want from others as well. And for me, it's about always trying to remain humble, even though historically I don't think I was that humble. I think I was a little bit more blunt in life. And I think experience in life teaches you to evolve. I mean, you don't stay constantly the same person, but you start learning and you start growing and you start maturing. And like, it's strange how you refer to your granny, because even though I have my mom, I still refer to my granny a lot of the times in terms of life skills or the things that I carry as habits today. So it's actually it's just an idea or kind of a common thing that we both have or share. When it comes to life and the thoughts that life brings out, is you can't remain the same. You have to allow yourself to evolve. You have to allow yourself in the sense that you've got to forgive yourself. Sometimes we're too hard on ourselves, and we sometimes strive for things, and if they don't happen at that time, we can become very hurtful to those around us, or sometimes we could just lash out uncontrollably or maybe unintentionally, and we often hurt the ones we love the most. And Coach, uh, I like the fact that you got it on your dashboard, but mine is love it, feel it, deliver it. It's like love something, deliver on it and feel it. So you're experiencing it with that person, whoever you're engaging with, and that's kind of the mantra I tend to use, and that's just to reassure me, because sometimes I need a little bit of reassurance that I'm on the right wavelength. But the idea is to uplift those around me, and it's not necessarily about me. It's not about the transaction. It's about just doing what's right. And if you are in that position to do right, gracefully do it. And sometimes you don't do it because you want something out of it. You do it because you that's your love, and that's how you respect others. And I just think that's what I practice, and that's where I am in my life at this moment. And I'm happy. It makes me happy. I often use this phrase, and I don't know whether it's applicable to most people out there, but I use the phrase that I sleep at night, because when you do that, you have this consciousness of I have helped someone when they least expect it.
Amen.
That makes me very humble. And I don't do it because I want anything back. It's just purely the joy it brings my heart and how I embrace it. So yes, thank you for the amen.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, Kavenda, because as you said that, I'm like, okay, am I doing this altruistically? And when I'm, being grateful or doing something for somebody else, even here on Clubhouse, when I'm doing complimentary coaching in some of these rooms, in the Ziegler Legacy rooms, and I look and I go, you know what? I do it because I feel good afterwards. I feel good. Like I feel that what God has given me as a gift, I'm using purely to support another human being with no expectation other than my looking in the mirror and saying, thank you to myself. And I just realized that's something that I think a lot of us overlook. When I look at my business flower, and if you get a chance and you go to those of you that are listening, I'm gonna throw it. I'm gonna pin it up here. But if you go to my website, you will see under the now I better look, make sure where I'm sending you. There is a nope. Okay, so when you go to my website, there's the links across the top, and one of the links is says coaching, and when you go there and you go scroll down to the bottom, you will see that it is it says there's this thing called a business. I call it the business flower. And for me, this is one of my most fun things, because this is my 3-ring binder that I give to people. This is my sales card. This is my sales pitch. This is my explanation of how I work. It's all of it. And it's very simple. It's I'll just read what's on my website, because it communicates beautifully. Here's how it works. First, we start with looking at your integrity as a client or as a business. Then we add accountability to hold you accountable for your integrity. Then we look over and see the structures for fulfillment, where what we look at is goals and your intentions. Then we also do vision and mission, the who, what, how about your business, and look at all of that as a part of the integrity of looking at your business. Then we look at who your worst enemy is, probably the person in the mirror, and work to correct that, which is grace. We also, you can see that this business flower is supported by health and well-being, and it has a main statement on the main focus of faith, family, business, where we work on a work-life balance. And then you'll see a green line around the entire structure. This symbolizes our partnership to accomplish mutual goals. And I look and read this and see this, and my gosh, I am one lucky individual that I have been so blessed over the years to have so many people pour over, just to pour over. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed this today. Lachelle, thank you for coming up. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this today and share with us some of your viewpoints. The mic is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello and welcome.
Yes, I just came into the room probably about, 15 minutes. But I do want to acknowledge that I did hear you for the first time in Miss Pat room, and you just spoke blessings to me. So when I saw that you had a podcast, I wanted to come in and hear more gems and know that your legacy is being sown now, still being sown, and this is the second time that I met you, and I can say I've been on the stage with you. But as far as what I've heard on today, I would say when you said about a smile, it is the gift. I could say, like, for the past 2 years, my smile has not been a big smile like it is on the picture because of certain things happening. But when I started to think about it as a gift to others, because people would say, "Where's your smile? Your smile makes my day," and this, that, and the other. But when we had the mask and everything, people wouldn't see your smile. I said, "You can't see my smile." They said, but we know when you smile because you smile even through your eyes." So just working on self-development to get my smile back. And it's coming back because this is like the second time I spoke on stage. And it's one of my biggest fears. So I land my mic.
Oh, that is so awesome. And I think Kavendra spoke right at the very beginning before you came in the room. He actually spoke about the fears and being on stage. So, thank you so much for, that, to be honest, that's one of the beauties, I think, about small rooms, right? Is it gives you that taste. It gives you the opportunity. Even if this was a big room here, the way that I run my rooms, and Kavendra's been a part of them and helps run them as well, is that we maintain some decorum, and we are mad about, like crazy mad about respect and communication, for the simple fact, whether you're a Christian or not, whatever your faith is, for me, even when trolls come in and upset the room, I go, "This is amazing." And people go, "Huh?" I said, because whatever we're doing in this room is so impactful that some yahoos have decided to come and interrupt it. So really what we're talking about right at the moment is one of the most important things of the day. And it completely shifts the premise of having trolls come in. In fact, I spoke to somebody the other day and they said, have they figured out a way to stop trolls, Coach Les? I haven't seen one in your room for a long time. And then we had 3 the next day. So, but I just said, no, I actually wonder if we haven't been doing a lot of transformational work the last 3 days, because that's when they come, because they want to upset that. And, I'm always excited by that stuff because it communicates something different. And Michelle, I love that you say for the past 2 years, your smile has been hidden, and not only just because of what's been going on in your life, but also by a mask. So thank you for setting all of that aside, and thank you for bringing back your smile, bringing back your commitment. Really appreciate it, and God bless you.
Thank
you. And with that, it is 1 minute away from time for me to shut down, and I want to say thank you, Kavendra and Lachelle. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Coach, for the platform.
Oh,
I appreciate you, and I value you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And then to Gary for listening, and Natasha for listening. Thank you. Thank you so much. For me, without the listening, to me, it is one of those things where, we're here to speak to the listeners. We're here to say thank you. And I do appreciate the time that you've spent in the room. And it doesn't matter to me that you didn't come up. My original intention was to be here to, to speak what it was that I was going to speak. And I was blessed with Kavendra coming in, and now with Lachelle coming up, to get a female viewpoint was wonderful. And, that's why for me, I do these rooms. That's why I do this. And I want to do a quick shout out to Steve Appel and mancavepodcasting.com. For anybody that is looking to do a podcast, please take a moment to go to mancavepodcasting.com. He is just such a great gentleman, and he has helped me more than I can even, more than I know how to share with you, for the simple fact that he gave me grace, he gave me training, and, here I am now moving along on my own and taking it one step further by adding video to it and putting it onto live podcasting as well at the same time. So thank you all. And Harold, I apologize. I'm going to have you listen to the replay when you get a chance. It's great to see you. Thank you for stopping in. And I do have to step out. I appreciate it. I'm going to play a little bit of music here to and a little bit of a thank you. So here we go.
Coaching with Les has doubled my practice.
If you have any struggles in your business or your personal life, Les is your guy.
He's logical, he's empathetic, he has passion for helping people, and his ideas are genuinely thoughtful.
So if you're looking for a business coach with integrity, choose Les Hill.